All right, and if the magic of YouTube or StreamYard is to be believed, we are in fact live for this author interview with my good friend Tori Tecken. Or I guess if you look at the screen, it says Tori Talks because she does YouTube and she writes books, so that means she's an author tuber. But I will let her introduce herself.
Hi. Yeah,
Sweet,
I'm
simple,
Tori,
to the
and
point. I love it.
what?
Sweet and simple and to the point. I love it.
Or should I do that? Hey, friends, welcome to Andrew's channel.
That might work.
Right? Yeah, I literally forgot to change my name tag. That is the only reason why it says Tori Talks. Because who's an author? Anyways,
I mean, listen, I've got your channel linked in the description box down below because people should go and subscribe. I've got the Amazon link to Phased in the description box down below if you want to go and buy the book, which you totally should. And I mean, hey, there's another book coming out later this year as well. So, there's just more to enjoy.
how do you know about that?
You got to show up that Sarah Ferrari art.
I do. I have 2 copies currently right in front of me, so I can have one behind me and one to hold up because I'm a professional.
Showing off. I've got one. Okay.
You do. It's even signed, I believe, right?
I do believe so.
I'm pretty sure I signed you one.
I do. It says to Andrew Wizard, and then
I have to make
back my last name. Although people can find it if they really want to. Thank you for your enthusiastic support of storytellers. Speaking of supportive storytellers, you had yet another video that I was actually a part of go out, and that is the Dear Writer.
Yes.
And let's start talking about Dear Writer because you do a lot of we talk a lot about like writing and the writing community and stuff like that. And you're very involved, and just.
So I did a video recently.
To go.
This is going to turn into me like interviewing you at some point during this live stream. It's going to happen.
Probably.
So Andrew, I'm just kidding. How do you feel about? So Dear Writer was kind of the first one was kind of a spur of the moment thing earlier this year because I thought, writing is such an isolating craft, and there's so many people that just, even if they're involved in the online community, sometimes it can be, it still feels isolating because it's, internet people. And I love all of the internet people, but it's nice to actually see faces to faces sometimes. And I thought it would be really cool if I could just ask a few people to send in a little clip that was like encouragement to other writers when they're having a hard day, because we all have those. And it just kind of avalanched from there. And a lot of people that I didn't think were going to say yes to being part of it did. And that was really exciting. And then
that was the first time I've ever heard Esme's voice.
Yeah. So the second one, it was the first one was all from other writers. And the second one was all from booktubers and bloggers and readers giving encouragement to the writers. And I definitely get emotional when I'm editing those because I love this community and I love how generous everybody is with their time and their support. It's pretty amazing. So yeah, it was a pretty cool video series. And I have to go on public record right now as a horrible friend. Okay. Because I forgot a clip in the video.
Oh, that's happened before.
But it wasn't okay. It was Kay's.
Oh.
And I feel horrible. So I'm going to make another one shortly, and Kay's will be the very first one in the video.
It's only going to be Kay.
It's just going to be Kay. Kay's just encouragement to writers. Yes.
You do the whole intro, slot in Kay's video, outro.
Yes. Yep. Dear writers, here's Kay.
That's how dear writers, listen to Kay. That's all I have to say.
I know. Oh my gosh, I felt so bad. Kay's probably rolling her eyes at me right now, but it's okay.
Kay's such a lovely individual that she's not going to hold it against
everybody.
You.
Go subscribe to Kay.
Yeah. I mean, everybody should be subscribed to Kay.
If they're subscribed to us, I feel like,
Yeah, man, that's true. Now,
if they don't know Kay, that's their problem.
It's always a danger when you talk to your friends because they know where at least one body is buried. And so I'm going to ask right now, very kindly, Can I get a copy of the books in the boxes in your mom's attic?
I mean, technically speaking, you could probably buy them off of eBay. My mother has, yes, they're in the basement actually. But yeah,
And
there are.
that's my way of bringing up that you've been writing your entire life, and you've been getting encouragement to do so.
Yes. Yes. So yes, I've been a published author since I was 14. And my mother has many boxes of books that are no longer in print that I wrote between the ages of 14 and 19. And yeah, it was kind of wild, honestly, because that was back when self-publishing was kind of not the dark ages per se, but like pretty close. And it was the, kind of gradient graphic from Microsoft Word covers that everybody was doing at the time. And it was not a good scene for the most part. But I'm so glad, Kay. I'm not going to let you forget about it now. But yeah, it was pretty wild because I just did it as a homeschool project. Originally, I wrote a book about horses in the American West at like age 12, as you do. And because that was the only thing that I cared about at that point in my life was horses.
What else are you going to do?
Right. So yeah. And we printed just enough copies for family and friends, and it blew up very quickly. And I ended up selling of all of the books that I wrote between 14 and 19, about 10,000 copies of everything. And
JCM is saying the books are not easy to find.
I'm so glad. I was 12, guys. Be nice. Yeah, well, it was fun though, because I did a lot of traveling, and it was in a way I'm incredibly grateful for it, because it taught me so much. And I think I kind of took a shortcut as a writer almost, because I just wrote and wrote and wrote through my childhood, through teen years, through early adult years in college. And I feel like I was able to write a book like Bloodstones because I've been putting in all of the writing work since very young. So,
well, I mean, so you're a very diverse author, because equine horse stories, you've got parenting books out there, you've got fantasy books out there. I learned about the parenting book today purely by accident. It's also how I learned how you used to have long hair.
But, yeah, if you go back to the early videos on my channel, I had very long hair.
I know I've watched some of your early stuff, but it didn't click because I'm used to either beanie or headband. Like when I think Tori, it's immediately headband, beanie, hair up in a bun. Like that's immediately what comes to mind. But it's never long hair let down to the middle of the back.
Yeah, it was. No. So I had children, and having really long hair as a mom is just
it's a good way to get a good hair pull in.
It is, and it's also just a pain to take care of, especially when you have very thick curly hair. So I chopped it all off, and I have not looked back.
It was funny when my wife had kids. I was like, "Do you want to get your hair shorter?" She just looked at me and she's like, "No thanks." And I was like, "Are you sure?" All the time, at least every day, I'm just like, my hair, and I'm just like, "You sure?
You sure?" Yeah. Yep. I don't know, and I think I like the shorter hair better. I feel like that's more me. So.
Ooh, okay. So we have a question from Tiago. We'll allow him to butt in, but how are you enjoying your current writing phase?
Good. It's been really wild. Like this last year, writing the Bloodstones and seeing Phased kind of start to gain some traction and momentum has been a journey. And honestly, this is largely due to several people in the comments, one of whom is Thiago, that I've gained a lot of confidence as a writer in the last year. And Andrew Meredith has been a huge part of that, and just being part of the community that's so supportive. Like, I legitimately feel like, yeah, I'm a writer and I'm gonna like do cool things. Like, it has changed my completely, like, a lot of my imposter syndrome has dissipated. It's not gone, because that's not possible, but
Yeah.
it's less, for sure. It's very much less. I got it too, Meredith. I saw what he did there.
I got it, but it still was actually felt like a valid question.
It did. I tried to answer it seriously. They're so mean.
Nice tongue-in-cheek joke with just enough for me to actually be like, yeah, let's ask that question. Which, how does it feel to be done with the first draft of Bloodstones? Because I've been talking to you for months as you just grind out this book. You went on vacation to go hang out with Sarah. You got sick. You got incredibly sick at Sarah's.
I got very sick. Yeah. And then Sarah got really sick after I left, so I gave it to her. Yeah, it's so I can actually, I have it. This is the first time it has been printed officially in one copy. So this
Did you get that done at Kinko's?
No, Office Max, actually.
Ah,
close enough. It's pretty wild. I mean, it's the most surreal feeling to get to the end of the book and just all of a sudden you write the last line and you're like, oh my gosh, I've been like dreaming of this moment for so long. And now that it's here, I don't really know what to do with it. It's kind of that weird, oh, well, now what? Like, my head's been so focused in this book for so long that you kind of have to figure out what to replace it with. And obviously I have editing and stuff to do now, but it's a very different process than the original draft. So
what's your editing process look like? We'll talk about Phase and Bloodstones and all that in a bit, but because I follow Crystal Matar on Twitter, and I watched her edit that monstrosity just in the Twitter feed, and it's just in the margins, tons of writing, lines, underline, cross-outs. Like, is that what yours looks like? Of course, she does hers with whiskey. I'm assuming you do yours with wine coolers.
Oh, yeah. No. Wine coolers are not my drink of choice. Moscow Mule.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I'm a little, thanks, Andrew. Like, give me a little credit here.
Listen, Moscow Mules and me, I would get 2 pages done a night and then be slobbering all over the...
Well, it's not quite that bad, I promise. But maybe, sometimes you need that for editing. So I have kind of a weird, not maybe weird, I've met more people that kind of have a similar process to me now that I'm in the community, but I'm a discovery writer. So I don't heavily outline when I start writing. Because if I did that, I have ADHD. So if I outlined everything in my entire book, I would never write it because I'd be bored because I already did, if I'm honest. Like, I'd just be like, yep, wrote it, moving on. So a lot of it has to be...
pants a lot of it? Is discovery the same as pantsing?
Kind of, yeah. I mean, I think a lot of it's in my head. So like, I'm outlining in a sense, it's just more not written down. I don't like outlines, Thiago. I almost quit writing this book when I tried to write a full outline. Like, that's how bad it was. I was literally in tears trying to write an outline, tearing my hair out. It was not good.
When I met Andrew, he said that the parts that he had read was basically like an evolution of you as a writer. So I'm incredibly excited. He's just like, you read Phased, but you're not ready for Bloodstone. He said that to my face.
I'm so excited. It feels like I've grown up some, not in a bad way, but just since Phased was a really important book for me to write. And we'll go into that later, I'm sure, but just from the trauma journey perspective and me getting back into fiction writing, like, that was the first time I'd written a fiction book in 10 years was Phased to publish. And so Bloodstones, I needed that step before I was ready for Bloodstones. I couldn't have ever made that jump straight into Bloodstones. So Phased was very integral to that.
Now, how long have you had the idea for Bloodstones?
This particular book started early last year. The world and the general like history of the world that it takes place in has been around for the last 12 years.
Okay.
So I started it in
thinking
college.
on this for a while.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
So it was kind of, I was going to write the original series that I started working on in college. And then I started looking at the backstory of that. And I thought, oh, there's kind of like, is there a prequel here? There might be, because there always is, you know. And I started just kind of playing around with the first scene and then realized, yep, I definitely want to write a prequel to kind of introduce the world and play with some themes that I'm interested in. So that was kind of, but the world's been around for a while.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
My next heavy hitting question is going to be, what's like having the ultimate cheat code of being best friends with your cover artist? Like as an indie author, that feels like cheating.
It is. I will totally agree with that. So yeah, shout out to my beautiful and incredibly talented best friend Sarah Ferrari, who is all kinds of magical. So she and I have been best friends for almost 20 years now. And I have watched her from doodles in the car on road trips when we were like 13, 14 to illustrating fantasy book covers. And I am so incredibly proud of her. So I would like to think I've earned it a little bit, which sounds horrible, but like, I don't know. We've really grown up with each other as artists, and we're very much creative soulmates. Like we sit down and we just create together hours during a day. I'll write, she draws, or she's working on a book now too.
Yeah, I was just about to bring that up.
Yeah, which you will definitely have to have her on and talk about.
100%.
So yeah, I mean, it's just, I feel like we both have just gotten to a point in life where we just add so much to each other's creative fuel that it's easiest to create together. She knows all my book ideas from day one, you know, so yeah.
It's a bit of a drive to go see her now, though, isn't it? So
yeah,
it's you gotta. Because I remember you're like, yeah, I'm gonna go see Sarah. It's like an hour and a half away, and I was just like, what?
Yeah, it's like 6 hours, 5.5 hours to visit her.
Oh, geez, so it's even longer. Okay.
Yeah, and we've been long distance since we met, so I have only ever gotten to see her like once or twice a year since we like met originally.
Really? So, let's just dive into that. How did you two meet? Like, how did that friendship start?
So yes, actually. We went to a horse camp. Imagine that.
Oh wow, horses. It all comes circular.
I know. It's a hard, just suspend your disbelief for just a second. Yeah, we were both 13 and we went to a horse camp that was kind of in between where we both lived at the time. And we met. She had her dachshund dog there the first day, and I was like, oh, she has a dog, she's super cool. And we just said hi briefly. And actually, later on in the week, the friend that I had originally came with to the camp she decided to ghost me and started kind of being a bit of a bully. And Sarah, we were out riding, and this previous friend was really giving me a hard time, and Sarah just rode up beside the two of us and just let her have it, and we've been best friends ever since. So yeah,
fair enough.
She just defended me right away, and it was pretty awesome. Basically, Are you still super into horses? Yeah, I don't know if that's something you ever really grow out of when you're a horse girl. That just kind of stays with you. I have animal companions. You heard it here first. There's a couple of named horses in the Bloodstones that are animal companion characters. So I definitely, I rode for the first time in like 8 years again when I went up to visit Sarah.
I'm sure that was uncomfortable.
It actually wasn't too bad. Like I could tell if I went for like hours, I would have been having a harder time. But yeah, it was, I settled back into it pretty well.
I've been horse riding exactly one time.
Well, we'll have to fix that.
Don't say that.
Yeah, you'll have to go on a trail ride. Sarah and I will road trip to you, and we will find a trail ride place somewhere, and I'll go trail riding.
I mean,
we'll vlog it. You can put it on your channel.
Sure. Yeah, why not? It's just gonna be me just Okay.
I just think that sounds like a fun time. I'm here for
That
it.
does actually sound like a fun time. Whew. No, okay, I gotta stop because I'm just thinking about the first time I rode horses, which is not what I'm supposed to be doing right now. Let's talk about Phased. How did Phased come around?
There's a couple of different answers to that. So the first is I knew I wanted to write another fiction book and publish it. And it was 2019, and I had seen kind of a resurgence of Twilight stuff and all of the things that came after Twilight that became the supernatural fantasy section. And I was just kind of tired of it because, I was in junior high-ish when Twilight came out, and all of my girlfriends were swooning over it, and I read them, and I was like, okay. And I was like, but there's the supernatural elements of this are so cool. Like, why can't we have that with all of the, Right. So Phased that was how it started. Was I was like, you know what? I want to write a book about either vampires or werewolves, and I decided on werewolves. And then about a month after I started writing the book, I was diagnosed with a couple of trauma disorders and started trauma therapy. And then Phased became something else entirely, and just kind of a therapy journey, honestly, that was being told through the characters. So it definitely took a turn I wasn't expecting.
And now it's an SPFBO.
It is, yes, which is still kind of mind-boggling, but yes, it is. I'm very excited.
Oh, we've got people declaring their teams like it's 2008.
I know. It takes me right back.
Can we not?
Can we?
I've met Taylor Lautner.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's a martial artist.
Yeah. How was that experience for you?
It was very brief. It was mainly just a hello. This was pre-Twilight. I met him in that'd been 2003 is when I met him.
Okay.
So he was still in martial arts, and I had gone down to New Orleans, I believe is where I met him, to a martial arts, like an international martial arts tournament. And I just kind of bumped into him.
I didn't even know he did martial arts.
Oh yeah.
Learn something new every day.
Do you remember like Shark Boy and Lava Girl?
Oh yeah.
That's him.
The real classics of the early 2000s.
He's Lava Boy.
Yeah. Now that
he got
say
that part,
oh yeah.
He got that part because of martial arts.
Oh, I mean, good for him.
Yeah. Anyway, side tangent. You got to keep me on track. Got to keep me.
I am not the right person to ask to do that, Andrew. It's not me.
So, what is the elevator pitch for Phased?
Okay, that I can do. Mostly.
I made sure to preface Phased.
Yes, so Phased is the story of two sisters, Val and Lila Blackwood, who are werewolves, and they have basically been lab rats for most of their lives, and they are true blood werewolves, which means that their blood is very pure, and they're kind of the strongest version of werewolves. And they're given a chance to prove that they can assimilate into human society or else. And that's kind of where we meet them in the beginning of the book. And as we go through, it unravels more and more of their story. It's a motley crew, lots of great like werewolf action, and a lot of found family vibes with a lot of heart and a lot of crying on a couch with a bowl of ice cream. Right, Andrew?
Pretty much, yeah. that kind of sums up my experience with it. I had a very good time reading Phased. And I was shocked when you were like, oh yeah, by the way, your video review is like the first one that's gone up since my return to YouTube. I was just like, oh, yay.
Yeah. I think I got to look and see. But yeah, yours I think is definitely the first one in our community. Yeah.
Which, yay. I'm very happy to have done that because it was such a good reading experience, especially the dynamic between the sisters and how they interact with everybody else. Mm-hmm. And normally, like, okay, so I've recently discovered that I like school settings.
Yeah.
But I didn't think I would like high school settings.
Right.
Just because, nobody's like, oh, yeah, like, I'm 30. How old am I? 33. I'm 33. I don't.
Whatever. It's a year older than I am, whatever that is.
I don't wistfully long to go back to high school. And so to read stories about like characters in high school,
Yeah.
interesting, especially because their experience was way worse than mine.
I feel like I can safely say Val and Lila's experience was worse than a lot of people's high school experience. Yeah. In some ways. I mean, I think that just goes back to like, I didn't even think I would want to write a high school setting either. I kind of surprised myself with that. I was like, really? You want to write? All right, let's try this. But I think it was just so much more about the characters, and that was just the stage of life they were in. Like, it never really became about that. Thanks, Brian. Nice. Yes, that's my favorite comment. Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty character focused reader and writer, and to me it's like, well, here's my characters and that's what the story's about, and they just happen to be in a high school setting, you know.
Well, you did a lot of your world building through characterization, because you get to analyze the purebloods versus the society that is very aware of the supernatural, that has tried to tame it in a way and make it non-standard to be what you are naturally are.
Right.
I overcomplicated that, but
it was beautifully said.
But and I like that because you get to see two very rare individuals who kind of lived away from society in their own little tribe of werewolves who practice the old ways.
Right.
And then when they are then ripped away from that society, they're told that their way of life is wrong and they need to assimilate. And there's a lot of great discussion that can be had around those that we won't really get into, because I think reading Phase is a very personal journey to everybody who's going to read it, because it's got a little something for almost everybody.
Yeah. Well, I mean, how many of us, whether, you know, obviously in high school, but even as adults, how many times have we felt like we just don't fit in somewhere? We're trying to, like, you know, the square peg in a round hole kind of thing, where it just feels like we're being asked to be something we're not. You know, that's something that I feel like is very true in life in general, and not necessarily just, and I think that's the for me, what the key was, and that's, Phase technically can be marketed as a YA, but I always hesitate with that because I feel like it's
a non-standard YA. It doesn't use a lot of the, like, there's not the love triangles, and there's not the I don't want to bash YA because a lot of people like YA.
No, and I don't either. Love triangles that's one of my personal least favorite tropes, so that was like a big no for me. But yeah, I obviously, like, I have some YA books that I absolutely love, so no shade. But
I like when you're using YA as young adult novel. I like that.
Yeah.
When you're using it as just, it's YA.
Right.
I feel like young adult and YA are two totally separate things, despite the fact that they mean the exact same thing.
I would totally agree with that.
You can tell a story to a young adult without pandering to certain tropes.
Yeah.
Those tropes aren't like, you can use tropes from adult fantasy in YA and just present it in a bit different, so that it's a little bit more digestible, a little bit more accessible and relatable to a younger person, instead of like blood, guts, gore. Bleh.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
Anyway.
And I mean, I think, you know, to some degree, I think one of the reasons maybe why Phased resonates with people regardless of age is I think it speaks to the wounded child in everybody in a lot of ways, because that's something we bring with us regardless of growing up, you know. And
it's the worst when you're walking about your day 33 years of age and you're like, man, I really messed up that friendship when I was 5.
Right.
Like, go away. Yep. Like, I haven't talked, I don't remember this person's name.
Right. All the regrets.
That's awful.
Yeah.
I hate it.
Yep.
Just going about your day and just get smacked with childhood trauma.
I know. Aren't brains just the best?
Yeah.
Totally the best.
I always thought when I was growing up, like, there'd be distinct phases of life And it's like, no, I'm still the same person.
I'm still a kid. I'm just unsupervised now.
Yeah, I'm still the same person who ate mud pies in the woods with my friends. Like,
Yeah,
I'm still that person.
that explains so many things.
I just know better not to ingest mud anymore.
Right. We love the growth.
I'm sure everybody watching is super proud of me.
I'm very proud of you, Andrew.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's growth, you know?
How many more books are planned in the Phased world?
One.
There's one more.
Yes. So we can blame Sarah for this, actually. Originally it was meant to be a standalone. And I got to the end and Sarah was like, it'd be really cool is if you did this epilogue with where this happened. And I was like, yeah, but that kind of leaves it open for a sequel. She's like, I know. I was like, okay. So I put the epilogue in there. And I was like, yeah, okay, it's kind of cool. Yeah, I like that. And now there's a sequel, but it's definitely going to stop at duology because I feel like that encapsulates the story I want to tell. For the two of them, I can see potentially a prequel at some point that is the origin of Cormoran, the handler.
Okay. Mm-hmm. All right.
Yep.
I was just
she has a whole backstory.
100 books since then. You're gonna have to come.
Come on, Andrew.
Speaking of, come on, Andrew. Question from Kay: how do you balance reading, reviewing, writing, and life?
I don't. I'm a giant chaotic train wreck most of the time. I think part of it is just one day at a time, honestly. And it is a lot. I mean, it sounds like a lot when you say it like that. And it is. Like, I think, Andrew, you can attest to this too, and Kay for sure. Like, as a parent, when you also are trying to review and have enough brain cells to create content around the books you read, you're not just reading for pure pleasure anymore. It's like, okay, I'm reading for content and I'm reading to share it with other people and talk about it. And which is just a different type of reading experience.
It can be fun, but it can also be less fun.
Yeah, it really depends on the book, honestly.
There are certain times where I'm like, man, I would love this if I could just stop being so critical of everything.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I can't turn my writer brain completely off anymore. Like, I struggle.
That's what happened to me with Rhaenyra. I started the series as a non-booktuber, and by the time I finished it, I had started a channel. So I had a completely different experience from start to end.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, okay, so I have a question for you then.
How you said you were going to do it.
I did. How do you still, because both of us know, like, booktube is a lot, and it definitely changes, like we talked about, it changes your reading experience to some degree. How do you find joy in reading? Like, what do you do, what intentionally do you do to find joy in it?
I search for stories that I am excited to read. And that sounds like a very basic answer, but there is the books that everybody's excited for you to read, and then there's the books that you're excited to read.
Yep.
There's the books, like, you can get into the whole hype thing and what's popular. And it can be a bit much because a lot of the times you're like, oh, I feel like I'm supposed to really like this. And I really don't. And so then, like, that's what happened to me with Poppy War. Ugh, that was the first Discord buddy read I think that was ever hosted in what is now the Wizards Enclave Discord, and we ground our teeth and finished a book that a lot of people loved, and me and Nico did not. But then, like, when my buddy Spyro, I believe Zach in the comments, he's just like, hey, like, you like a lot of progression. Here's 10 different series. Look into them.
Yeah.
And then, like, it's like, oh, you really know my taste. You watch my content. You know what to recommend to me and what's going to really make me excited. And if you'd have told me 4 years ago, by the way, you're going to be reading a ton of progression and lit RPG, I'd have been like, no,
No.
no, I like the Wheel of Time, which I do like the Wheel of Time.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I like reading for joy.
You're allowed to like different types of books?
No. You see, that's the dirty secret, though. You're not allowed to.
Dang it.
You have to toe the line.
It's funny though, because like my top 2 series are Malazan and Red Rising, and like
those are 2 very different series.
They're very different. And
so reading different stuff as well. Yeah. Like occasionally I'll reach for a YA book, or I'll reach for a horror thriller, or I'll read variety. If I want to reach for manga, I can. Well, there we go, manga. I just held up a blank black book, and you guys like an idiot.
Wikipedia.
Yeah, historical fantasy, stuff like keeping variety is the spice of life.
Yep,
is kind of what it. If you read too much of the same stuff, it gets old real quick.
And I've actually, I think I've discovered that I know for sure that fantasy is my home base. By like, I loved taking a step away from it and reading other genres, but then after a little bit, I always want to go back. Like, I just need that little break, and then you want to come back. At least for me with fantasy, because that's really my bread and butter genre, for sure.
Okay, Kate, which Andrew are you talking to? I'll answer it because I plan on playing Baldur's Gate 3, but I haven't yet because it's out on PC. I don't have a PC strong enough to run the game, so I'm waiting for the PS5 release. But if you're talking to the other Andrew, I don't know. Oh, okay, she is talking to me. Cool. Yeah, no, that's because it's an atrocious pile of dog water.
You heard it here first, folks.
I've been crapping on the Poppy War for at least 2 years now. This isn't new news.
Yeah,
if you like it, I am very happy for you.
I have not read it.
I'm not saying you have bad reading taste.
I don't know. I don't know if I will, just because I feel like that's going to be one of those books that I would get really angry at.
Oh, you will. I want you to read it so that you can then rant to me.
Shall I vlog it?
Oh yeah.
I'll vlog. If I ever read it, I'll vlog it just for you.
Candid anger. A salty Tory vlog is what is going to be.
I've never done it on camera because I don't know if I want to, build a reputation, but I have thrown a couple books across the room in my time as a reader. I have definitely done that. One actually fairly recently.
You threw a book across the room recently?
Yeah. I was so angry. Oh no, Kay. See, Thiago doesn't have a booktube reputation to uphold here.
Yeah.
He can say
I'm assuming Kay's still talking about the Poppy War.
Yeah.
It's one of the few books I've truly gotten angry at. Like, I remember just ranting and ranting. Like, I disliked it more than I disliked The Witcher. And that was saying something. I used to rant in Discord about Witcher.
I read the first page of the first Witcher book and DNF'd the entire series.
Really?
Yeah. The first couple pages. It opens on a very male written scene, and I was like, bye.
Yeah, no, if that bothered you, then you made a good choice. Because
I was just like, that's like, you can't, how is this hooking me into the book? I'm like, I don't even, whatever. So I just put it down.
So, imposter syndrome. Let's talk some imposter syndrome, because I feel like I am talking to the authority of imposter syndrome because you happen to have a series on your channel.
Because I happen to have a lot of it.
I mean, I feel like we've all got imposter syndrome.
Oh, yeah.
Now, you could say you've got imposter syndrome because of being an author, of being a YouTuber, of we're going to say those two. I don't know what else to throw.
All the things. A mother.
I could throw Beanie Queen at you, but you are the undisputed Beanie Queen. I don't know
if I have any imposter syndrome about being the Beanie Queen, actually. I think I'm pretty solid in that.
Okay, yeah. See, there you go. Yeah. There's a lot of security in being the Beanie Queen.
100%. Yeah. I'm very much,
Okay.
I have new beanies for fall. I'm very excited.
Oh, okay. I can't wait because as soon as like winter was over, I was ranting at you for not
You were
wearing
yelling
beanies.
at me in my live stream comments while
I
I was
was.
interviewing people, Andrew, is
I
what you were
was.
doing.
I thought it was funny.
It was funny.
But let's talk about imposter syndrome and
Yeah.
how it affects both writers and readers.
There's a lot to unpack there.
Well, we've got a good 20 minutes to do it.
Yeah, I mean, the show honestly came about because I was looking around. I was like, I need something universal to name this idea of this show that I wanted to do on my channel. And I was watching Twitter and the Discords, and I was like, man, all these writers just are on the struggle bus. A lot of them were on the struggle bus, and just having the days where they're like, does this matter? I'm really having a hard day. I only wrote 200 words today. I, insert massive list of things here. Because writers are generally very self-deprecating. There's obviously always the exceptions, but like it's hard to talk about your own books, and especially because it's such a vulnerable craft, that I think you're constantly second guessing yourself. How is this going to be received? Are people going to like it? What if they hate it? Oh my gosh, when I get my first 1-star review, how am I going to react to that? Like all of the things as you're still writing your book and you haven't even published it yet. And already you're, oh man, here's the worst things that could happen. And I think well, I wouldn't necessarily for reading, but I could speak to like the booktube side of imposter syndrome. I mean, we know how that goes. Oh my gosh, my sub count's dropping. Oh my gosh, I sounded horrible in that video review. Oh, that live stream, I just sounded like I had half a brain cell.
Well, you got to kind of become self-deprecating as a content creator as well. Like I've started like literally just dropping GIFs of when I've done something wrong. Like yeah. I'll be talking about my, August TBR, and it'll be September or something like that. Like it's just I get the month wrong, and I just keep talking like it's normal, and I don't even realize until you edit it that you even messed up.
And then you're just like, ugh.
I recently had to like film a video in 2 parts. I left my setup completely alone, and the first half has fantastic audio. I didn't know that my microphone stopped working for the second half. So once I hit record again, you get a completely different audio quality. And it's just like, do I bother going back and recording everything? It's not going to feel genuine. It's not going to feel like the first time. And then like you got to deal with what makes me qualified to recommend books to people. That is that is me like, and then there's you did a crap job reviewing that book. You gave people nothing.
Yep, the author's gonna see this and just be like, really?
Like, did you even read my book, you schmuck?
Yep.
So yeah.
And then they're typing in the comments, wow, thank you so much.
Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, thanks for the great review. Did I do a good job? Like, are you just
speaking to this person again?
Yeah, it's like, are they ever gonna speak to me again?
Well, and I think that's something that's kind of, unique to the indie community. And obviously there's a lot of trad pub authors that are very involved now too. But I mean, if we do a video review on an indie book, the author is going to be one of the first people to see it usually, right? Like it's a whole different type of,
like Googling your own name. You probably shouldn't do it, but you can't help.
Yeah. They're on Twitter and just, scrolling and oh, that's my book. That's what I do. But yeah, I mean, it's a whole different experience, especially when you're, reviewing your friends' books or your friends are reviewing your books. I
was so nervous to review your book.
I was so nervous for you to read it.
I was incredibly, so there was just a little bit of just anxiety on both ends. I'm sitting there reading it like,
oh yeah. Well, because as a friend, when your friend says, hey, I wrote a book, do you want to read it? You're like, yeah. And then you're like, what if it sucks? What do I say? Like it's hard. Like how if Face had just been absolute, like awful, you're like, so yeah, I liked that one part, So
I like that one part. Man, I wish everybody had died. I mean,
spoilers, Andrew. I'm just kidding. Everyone dies at the end of Phase. Spoiler alert.
Yeah. Yeah. Everybody died at the end. The end.
Yep. The end.
I mean, not just the characters. Everybody died. Like, it was worldwide apocalypse. The demons rose up. Like, it was just, it was crazy.
Yeah, it was full on. Yep. Brian, there were words and pages and characters. Yep.
You should look into this book because it had words and pages, and there was characters. It had page numbers, and it had chapter titles, and it even had cover art.
Yeah.
Ringing endorsement.
Can't go wrong.
Can't go wrong there. You've literally described the book. Congratulations.
It's funny though, because like I don't know about you, but I definitely feel a lot more responsibility in when I review indies. Like, I don't necessarily review them differently per se. Usually I write a longer review for indies just because I know people will actually read it.
Do you think people will actually read them?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because depending on where I post it, I either get some interaction or I get no interaction. So if I used to write like decent 3 to 4 paragraph reviews on Goodreads. Nobody read those.
Yeah.
And then I do like I do like 4 sentences, and all of a sudden I got a lot more engagement on Goodreads for those. And then like I just copy and paste to Amazon. Nobody read those. Instead, 3 to 4 line that got a lot more engagement. So I don't know.
I mean, I think it depends on what people are looking for. And the one nice thing, like the video reviews are nice because it's face to face and you can talk a little bit about what you liked about the book. I know for me with Goodreads, I do tend to read the reviews, but I do skim the longer ones because all of us are super busy, and it's nice to have that really quick flyover of like here's what was in it that I really liked. And it's a really quick, kind of the Goodreads short, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. One of the things I've been noticing though lately that has me curious is that indie and trad, the lines are blurring a lot more, because I didn't quite realize how much self-promotion trad authors had to do. Like, I thought the whole point was that you got somebody to market your book for you. And that's just, unless you're Brandon Sanderson or somebody like that, that's just not the case.
But even if you think about Brandon Sanderson, like, he's on YouTube, he goes out and does stuff. Like, he's still out in the, doing stuff, promoting also. So, I mean, all the way up the food chain, if you will. It's even a lot of the bigger authors are getting more involved, I think, which is cool.
Yeah, because it allows you to interact with writers.
Yeah, I mean, the barrier between the authors and the readers is really much thinner than it used to be, which I like. I know some people don't, but it's something that I find really cool about the community. Like, in what universe could we just be on Twitter and be friends with, the authors that we're reading? And some of them are authors that have been around and doing amazing things for a long time.
The fact that I can get Anthony Ryan to reply to me on Twitter still blows my mind.
Right? Yeah, it's mind-blowing. You're just like, what is happening here? How does this work?
Growing up, I never thought that this would be something I would be even remotely able to do. A, because the technology just didn't exist.
Right.
And B, like the way to instantly connect with people. I mean, Tiago's in Brazil. I don't know I think I've met 3 people in my life, despite how populous Brazil is, who I could say I knew were from Brazil.
Yeah.
And I can literally just pick out my phone and just start messaging Tiago at any given point.
Yep. Which is great.
And as long as he's feeling feisty, he'll reply to me.
Yeah. Yeah. If he's having a good day.
Yeah.
Over 200.
Like I said, populous.
Yeah. That's crazy. I really like it. I think it's, I mean, as you well know, my just mind-blowing bucket experience of the year was if you had told me 10 years ago, hey, you're going to get to interview and talk writing with Steven Erikson someday, I would have been like, no, get out. No. That was just, I'm very grateful that we have a community where that kind of stuff is possible.
Yeah. I really, really love the community. And now you're a part of the SPFBO community.
Yes.
And you're kind of dealing with all that. It's a great way to find new and exciting indie books. We did our whole try a vlog thing.
Yep,
We
which was
may try
fun.
a second take at that. We'll see what happens.
Yep.
But that was a lot of fun. How's SPFBO been treating you, and what's that been like?
I feel like I've been pretty lucky up to this point, and I have a feeling that's going to change in the next month here, because my specific blog, in terms of like, there's been cuts and there's been reviews and stuff coming out everywhere for all of the blogs, and then there's Fantasy Faction. And we're just
Team Bookborn hasn't cut anything yet.
No. So there are a couple blogs that like haven't announced anything yet or anything. And I feel like I've kind of been lulled into this sort of like, oh, this is like easy, you know, because like Fantasy Faction, that is stacked. Oh my goodness. Like it's going to be insane in the next couple of months here, because so many of my friends are in Fantasy Faction with me. It was weird because I looked at how the blog layouts were, and I was like, oh my gosh, I know people in almost all the blogs, but like there's this massive chunk of us that are all in the same blog. And it was just, it was at this, because we're all competitive, you know, we want to do well. So we're just like, good luck. Like,
I hope you do really well.
Yeah, rooting for you. Yeah, so it's gonna be, I kind of entered with Phase just to have the experience this year. I went in with zero expectations. I'm literally just here for the experience and the community, and obviously I would love to see Phase do well, but I'm just here. Like I'm here for the ride, whatever it looks like. And there's so many incredible writers in this year's pool, that it's going to be, I think it's going to be a great group of finalists, hopefully, regardless of what the choices are. So yeah.
SPFBO 9, in terms of like what I am tangentially aware of and what I've already read, I mean, it is a stacked year.
It really is.
I've read, I think, 15 of the 300. And that is saying something. That's excluding what I was assigned. Oh, got gunk in my eye. That's excluding what I was assigned to judge, which was an additional 6 books. Did I read all 6 books? No, I didn't. I did. Yeah. Well, not all the way through.
Yeah.
I make very, because I got a lot to read. As you can see, I've got stuff to read. I make very quick snap decisions on a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But it's an incredibly just action star packed.
It is. Yeah. And I mean, it's been cool to get to see, you know, the mix of brand new authors mingling with authors where this is like their 3rd or 4th SPFBO, and like there's a lot of discussion about craft and marketing and what, you know, there's a lot of discussions going on in the Discord, which is really cool. And
I didn't even know there was a Discord.
Yep, there's definitely a Discord.
Because I'm a judge, I'm not allowed in there.
I don't know. I just showed up. I was invited. I'm just there. I don't know. I would doubt that. I don't know. It's interesting because I've kind of stayed a little bit on the fringes, and I've been, you know, posting some stuff and responding here and there, but I know that I'm also a reviewer, which sometimes can be scary. So I'm trying not to, like, you know, be too gung ho with everything in the Discord. But
do you plan to post or submit Bloodstones if you can get it in? Since this year filled up in, like, what was it, 15
41 minutes?
41 minutes is ridiculous.
Yeah. Yes. So Phase was kind of my let's try this and see what it's all about. I want to have this experience and see. Honestly, I'm incredibly proud of Phase. I'm really proud of it, and I would love to see it go. You know, I'd love to see it reach semifinal. but yeah, I'm coming in with some boxing gloves next year for sure.
So when is Bloodstones slated tentatively for release?
That's a great question. If everything goes smoothly and I don't have any major overhaul edits, which I don't anticipate at this point, we're looking at the second half of November.
Okay. All right.
So
give me time to clear the decks a little bit so I can get it read.
And there was a question about, or there's some discussion about audiobook in the chat. So for anybody who doesn't know this, probably early next year, the audiobook for the Bloodstones will be released, and that will be narrated by Andrew D. Meredith.
Never heard of him.
He's all right. Which I'm super psyched about. I cannot wait to hear Andrew's performance of this book. I'm just really psyched about it. Sarah's, don't say it, don't give him a date in the comments. Worst case scenario, it'll be very early next year. Like if something unforeseen happens, and that's the beauty of self-publishing, right? Is like if I need time to make it the best version of itself, I have that. And there was a question earlier. I know I haven't gotten your edit yet, Chiago. I'll need until next summer after Chiago's edit.
Chiago's like rip out the middle of the book.
Fix it all.
Fix it all.
Fix it all. Rewrite everything. Take this POV out.
Chiago, I'm waiting on a book 3. I believe I was promised it in November. I don't know why I'm like sitting here in silence, like he can respond to me.
Start over. Zach, in response to your comment, so I am, if and when this becomes an audiobook, which I would like it to soonish, if I can manage it, I would like to do the audiobook myself. So
nice.
Yeah.
There is Moira Quirk is a narrator, I think, who could do a really good job with Phased.
I know that name, I think.
She did Rob's Along the Razor's Edge, I think. I think that's Moira.
Oh, yep. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, Moira Quirk is
I've definitely heard that name before.
Andrea Parsnew is also really good, but she's currently busy with The Wandering Inn, so good luck.
It'll be the next 2 years.
Yeah, so Tiago confirms that she did narrate War Eternal.
Nice. I can't wait to read that.
What's up, PL Stewart? Drunk Kingdom. But yeah, so after Bloodstones, how many books are you planning within that series? Is it going to be a standalone? Is it going to be a 17-book epic?
No.
32 prequels and 17 novellas?
Yep. I love Dito's idea. Give a month due date and leave the year ambiguous. It'll be coming out in November 2020 something.
I mean, Dito is a mad genius, so.
Wait.
I know this is your interview, but.
Hey, you know what?
I will plug Dito. I'll plug Tiago. I'll plug Andrew D. Meredith. There's too many y'all to plug all the darn time.
I will go through my entire shelf right now if you want me to.
I mean, let's
just take everything out.
We have JCM Byrne.
Which, by the way, I want to second the comment. Whoever said in the comments that Wistful Ascending should have been in the semifinals or finals of SPFBO, 100% agree.
That is literally a underappreciated darling of the book community
100%.
Because reviewers love this book. It is so fun. It is so creative, and it gets no respect.
Well, and it's one of those books where like I really liked it when I read it, and now that I've been away from it for a while, I'm loving it more and more as time goes on, and I'm letting it sit and thinking about it. Like I really want to go back and reread it again now.
Yeah, there's a lot of fun in that book, but there's also a lot of themes that will kind of simmer in the back of the mind.
Yeah.
As you kind of think about the story and what Rowan's going through and what he's processing and the life he's pursuing and where he's come from emotionally and everything like all of that is in there, but there's a lot of witty that kind of masks
it's a great balance.
Impression.
Yeah.
So it's really fun to initially read, and then it's really rewarding to think about.
100% agree. So in terms of series length, Bloodstones is the first of 3 in a trilogy called Legends of the Bruhai.
Okay.
And then there will be a novella that goes back about 2,000-3,000 years. And
only 3,000. Okay.
Fine. So it's a while ago. And then that will bridge the gap into the series that I started working on over 10 years ago in college. So.
Oh, okay. Okay. So I thought that this was the series you started working on in college. So this takes place before.
Yes. So basically, what I wanted to do with Bloodstones is, you know how we think back through history and we have names like Alexander the Great, and we have Achilles, and we have all these like Genghis Khan, and like all of these larger than life warriors who history has created kind of gods of history out of them, essentially, you know. And so every culture and every story has the myths and the legends, right? Well, where do those start? Like at one point, these people were children. They were, you know, like, what was the origin story of the myths and legends of the series that I started back in college? And so that's kind of what I'm going back to now.
You know what that sounds like?
It
sounds like the beginning of an elevator pitch.
It is. Yeah, I've been working on it. Do you like it?
No.
I'm really proud of it. I'm getting there. It's taken me several, like I've been on a couple live streams where I've had to talk about this now, and I'm slowly starting to build. So by the time the book comes out, I should hopefully be able to sort of elevator pitch it a little.
Okay.
That's the goal.
All right. Well, I can't wait for the official elevator pitch because it already sounds amazing. It's going to be grimdark, correct?
Okay, so here's the way I describe it. Okay. I write dark fantasy that flirts with grimdark but never fully commits.
I actually prefer that.
Yeah, so do I. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Because I like dark fantasy, and dark fantasy can be an entire just tone, but grimdark is a whole event.
Well, and I think grimdark can mean so many different things too. I mean, as we know, I think it's a pretty fluid subgenre, to be honest. And I think, like, I've talked to John Morrow from Grimdark Magazine, who is like John Morrow, everybody. He's an incredible John Morrow. Oh, Marco. Not Marco, but also that one.
I always get them mixed up.
Yeah, so John Morrow is just an incredible human being, and we've had long conversations about what grimdark is and how I think sometimes it loses too much of the hope. Like when you just have straight nihilistic grimdark, I think that for me is hard to read. I have no issue with the content of grimdark, with a couple of exceptions, but I think, you know, have when there's something to hold on to, even when everything is absolute crap, is really important still. So yeah, I definitely, my mom actually described it pretty well, is the way that I like to write my books is tragic heroism. So it's like heroes that don't really get to be heroes, and they're twisted, and it's sad.
Ryan's just saying hurt him.
You know what, Ryan? That's fair. Like, you can like what you like.
Ryan just wants you to build a machine that's constantly kicking him in the shin.
Yeah. I feel like that just explains a lot of writer or reader.
Sounds like okay. Listen, okay, so I shared I never read past where I talked about Lonesome Dove.
You stopped?
I have temporarily stopped. It's just, I feel like we're getting off topic, but whatever. It's not like it's the first time. I think, because I did a short on this kind of topic today. As a book can have amazing characterization. It can be a very well realized world. It can be beautifully written, and sometimes the content is just not for me in the moment. Mm-hmm. And I mentioned what the problem was.
Yeah.
And the message I sent you. And there's a lot of this, and if it's been half of the content of the 4 chapters I've already read, and I can extrapolate that through the rest of the book.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what I want to read right now.
That's fair.
And I'm not saying it's a bad book. I'm not saying it's not. It doesn't deserve the status that it holds. It can be 100% accurate to the time, which is what I think it is trying to do. Just not my jam right now.
That's fair. And I think, like we talked about earlier, as a content creator too, you got to be really careful that you don't force yourself through books that aren't the right time for you right now.
Yeah, because that's how books get a really bad review.
Yep.
And
you just make subpar content then because you're frustrated with everything and don't want to read. You know?
Volume. I'm assuming that he means The Wandering Inn. I have yet to start. I'm trying to wrap up the Talisman and Sufficiently Advanced Magic before diving into Volume 2 of The Wandering Inn. But you can bet that it's like a 60-hour audiobook. 60 hour. It's 11. No, I think it's like 12.5 million words at this point. It's wild. It's wild.
That's just a lot of words.
But I love it.
So I still have to make. I totally anticipate making either a short or honestly, it's probably a full video at this point. Books that I have purchased or added to my TBR because of Andrew's Wizardly Reads, and like. I told myself when I first heard of The Wandering Inn, I was like, yeah, no, that's not for me. I'm never going to do it. Do you know what is on my Kindle right now?
To be fair, I messaged you. I was like, hey, listen, there's a specific chapter that I think you're really going to vibe with.
Stop talking me into things, Andrew.
No. No. Yeah, so you are getting a lot of well wishes from PL.
Thanks, PL. I cannot wait. Oh my goodness. I'm so excited for you guys to read it. I cannot wait. You're getting yep, there it is.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, I feel like this is a good stopping point for our discussion. Otherwise, we're just gonna go fully off topic. I know you're tired. You had an interview today with Michael J. Sullivan, and I know I'm tired because I've been chasing around two kids all day. So
that's fair.
I think this has been a fantastic and wonderfully entertaining discussion. And yeah, people should buy this book because I think it's fantastic. And because I think it's fantastic, I'm going to recommend it. If you want to, it's in the description box down below. There's a quick link to Amazon and a link to Tori's channel so you can go check out her amazing content.
Thank you for having me, Andrew.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thanks for coming on such short notice. It's been a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah.
But that's all I really got. So we'll just say the long goodbye. So long.
Bye, guys.
Farewell. I'll be you to say goodbye. I bid adieu to you and you and you. So